Today we're going to be doing a quick video review between the YETI Roadie 24 cooler and the YETI Roadie 24 2.0. These are both great coolers, but YETI has recently come out with this new one with some updates that you should be aware of. So there's a lot to cover, so let's dive right in. Okay, so YETI has come out with an update to their very popular Roadie 24 with the 2.0 version. There's a few differences between these two coolers that you should be aware of, so we're going to review the differences, and then we're also going to do an ice challenge between these two coolers to see if one of them is better than the other. Is the newer cooler better at being a cooler, or is the original Roadie 24 that you may already own still the best cooler? We're going to find out. So we're first going to talk about the differences between these two coolers, and then we're going to go ahead and dive into the ice challenge to see which cooler is best at being an actual cooler. So there's three core differences between these two coolers. The first is the handle. The original Roadie 24 kind of has this bucket style handle that we find on the loadout buckets and everything else that YETI makes. And there's no shoulder strap option. It's just a handle. It does have quick release side attachments, and it does have a nice pivot, but it's very much like a bucket. Where the new Roadie 24 2.0 has what they're calling their double duty strap. Now this is the same strap they're using on the Roadie 15 and some of their other coolers. It has a soft grab handle on the top so you can carry it like a bucket, but it also has this really nice padded shoulder strap area. So you can throw this over your head and carry it like a duffel bag or something like that, keeping your hands free, which I think is a really welcomed update from the original Roadie 24. The second update I want to point out is that the original Roadie 24 does not have a drain plug. And that was actually one of my criticisms of this cooler when it was first released. It would have been nice if they had included a drain plug. The new Roadie 24 does have a drain plug included, which is really nice. If you need to drain some water out of this, throw some extra ice on top, you don't have to unpack the entire cooler to dump the water and stuff out. With the Roadie 24, the original version, you don't have the drain plugs. In practical terms, this means that you don't have to tip the Roadie 24 2.0 over to drain any water and stuff out of it. Now that's really nice when you're on road trips and stuff like that. You can just pull over on the side of the road, drain the water out, buy another bag of ice from the gas station, throw it on top, and you're good to go. The original Roadie 24, there's no good way to get the water out without dumping out the contents of the cooler. That being said, the drain plug does mean that the walls are thinner around the bottom of the cooler here, and it might affect its ability to keep things cold. We're going to find out in the ice challenge. It's very possible that without the drain plug, the original Roadie 24 might be a better cooler. We'll have to find out. The other difference between these two coolers is the Roadie 24 2.0 is about 13.8% lighter than the original Roadie 24. Now, when you get ice and food and everything in these coolers, I don't think the weight's going to be that noticeable, but that is another difference of the 2.0 version. Now, as far as the size and weight of these two coolers go, they are pretty similar, but there are some small variations. The original Roadie 24 is a little heavier, coming in at 15.2 pounds versus the 13.1 pounds of the Roadie 24 2.0. The old version was 16.6 inches wide, where the new version is 16.5 inches wide, slightly narrower. I think that actually has to do with the pivot points of the handles themselves. As far as the depth goes, the old cooler was 14 inches and the new cooler is 15.25 inches. So just a little bit deeper in the kind of depth dimension, which could be an issue for people trying to fit it behind car seats and things like that. It's not that much more, but where the original Roadie 24 may have been a tight fit, the new version may not fit. The original Roadie 24 is 17.4 inches tall, where the new one is 17.5 inches tall, so almost identical. Okay, so those are the differences between these two coolers. Let's find out which cooler is the best, well, cooler. And that's where today's ice challenge comes in. Both these coolers have been pre-chilled with ice packs for the last 8 hours per YETI's instructions. We're going to go ahead and pull those ice packs out and put a 4-pound large YETI ice in the bottom of each of these coolers. Next, we're going to put 7 cans of soda that have been pre-chilled in my refrigerator overnight into each of these coolers. Why only 7? Because that's all the soda I have right now. So each cooler gets 7 cans. Now that we have the sodas in the coolers, I'm going to go ahead and throw my temperature probes in. I have 2 wireless temperature probes. One will go into each cooler. This is so we can precisely track the temperature inside of each of these coolers throughout the test. Okay, now we are going to add 2 7-pound bags of ice to each cooler. So each cooler will have the 4-pound YETI block of ice plus 14 pounds of actual ice if it all fits. Okay, both the coolers are loaded up with the 4-pound YETI ice block, 14 pounds of ice, and 7 sodas each. Both these coolers still have a little bit of room to add more ice or soda if you wanted to, so we are not at maximum capacity, but we are pretty close. This is going to be a pretty realistic test of what you would actually use this cooler for. And the only rules of the ice challenge are,
fights will go on as long as they have to.
Let's get it on. I'll be right back when something interesting starts to happen with one of the coolers. Okay, so we are 48 hours into the test, so I'm going to go ahead and pop open both of these coolers to see how they're doing. The Roadie 24 on the left is reading 33 degrees Fahrenheit right now, and the Roadie 24 2.0 on the right is reading 31.7 degrees Fahrenheit inside. Opening up the Roadie 24, we can see that the ice is a little bit lower than it was when we started the test, but for 48 hours, it's actually pretty good. The ice is mostly a solid block in there. There is a little bit of loose ice around the edges, but yeah, I think we got plenty of life left in this cooler. So let's close it back up and let it keep running. Popping open the 2.0, and it's pretty much the same situation. Just one large block of ice, mostly solid. We have some loose bits of ice around the edge. And you can tell that the ice isn't touching the walls on all 4 sides as it's kind of melting away from the wall. So overall, both coolers are performing very similarly. We'll have to come back in a little bit and see how they're doing as time passes. Okay, so here is the thermal imaging of the 2 coolers. On the left is the Roadie 24, and on the right is the 2.0. Now on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see a kind of a temperature that's floating around. That is the coldest temperature on the screen right now. And it's squarely on the Roadie 24, the original one. It's showing 64.0 degrees Fahrenheit. And the right, if I move the probe over there, is showing 66.1 degrees Fahrenheit. So the original Roadie is a little bit cooler than the Roadie 2.0, which suggests that more heat is getting into the cooler than the Roadie 2.0. And we can see that by the cooler exterior of the left-hand cooler. Now on the side of the cooler here on the 2.0 version, a couple people have asked me if the drain plug lets heat into the cooler, if that's a potential thermal weak spot. And the logic makes sense. There's some thin spots around the drain itself, and then the drain plug itself may not be as well insulated as the rest of the cooler. So I'm going to get my thermal camera out. We'll take a closer look at this part of the cooler and how it compares to the rest of the cooler and the original 24. So moving around to where the drain plug is on the 2.0, we can definitely see that there's a cold spot around the drain plug. And pointing my probe at the very end of the drain plug, I'm seeing a reading of about 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 61 degrees Fahrenheit, where the coldest spot right next to the drain plug, actually up against the cooler, says 57.4 degrees Fahrenheit. So it does appear that there is a thermal leak here around the drain plug of the Roadie 2.0 cooler. But looking at the coolers side by side, we can see the original Roadie 24 is letting more heat into the cooler, which is evident by its cooler exterior temperatures. So the Roadie 2.0 does appear to have a thermal weak spot in its design, but something about the insulation of the original 24 doesn't appear to be quite as good as the new and improved version. We'll be back soon with another update. Okay, it's been about 72 hours or 3 days, and we're going to just do a quick check-in on both coolers to see how the ice challenge is going. First up is the Roadie 24. And as we can see, we still have quite a bit of ice in here, but there is also a lot of water in here, but it's very cold. The temperature still says 33 degrees, but we are getting close to the end of the ice challenge with the Roadie 24 here. Go ahead and close that up. Check out the 2.0 version. And here, at first glance, it looks like we have more ice. It's definitely a larger block sitting right on top there. And as I put my hand in, the water is cold, but it doesn't seem like it comes up as high on the cooler as the original Roadie 24s. So at first glance here at day 3, it looks like the 2.0 version has more ice in the cooler. But the test isn't over yet, so we'll go ahead and close this back up and see what the data says over the next 24 hours or so. Okay, so here we are 12 hours later. We are at 84 hours total for the test, or 3.5 days. And I noticed on the Roadie 24 on the left there, we are at 39 degrees, so the temperature is definitely starting to creep up. We're on the 2.0 on the right, we are still at about 32 degrees. So let's crack these things open, see what we're looking at, but it looks like the original Roadie 24 is starting to run out of ice. And looking inside here, we have a little bit of ice in here still, but for the most part, it is just water and sodas floating around, which explains why we were getting a little bit higher temperature readings here. All right, so opening up the 2.0, and we have a huge block of ice in here still. It's not even close. The 2.0 is clearly doing better than the original Roadie 24 at this point. And the temperatures reflect that. There is a lot of water in here, but there's just a lot more ice in here as well. So as of right now, I think the Roadie 24 2.0 is the clear winner, but we'll go ahead and run this test to completion so we can take a look at the data when the test is complete. Okay, here we are 7 hours later. The Roadie 24 on the left is reading 42 degrees. The 2.0 on the right is reading 32 degrees. So a full 10 degrees cooler on the right, so I suspect we'll find some ice in that cooler. But let's check out the Roadie 24. I think we might be out of ice in this one. And the water's still cold, but we have very little ice. There's just a little piece here and there. And yeah, I think this cooler is pretty much done. And the 2.0 definitely still has a good sized block of ice. So no matter how you cut it, I think the 2.0 completely smoked the original Roadie 24. We're gonna go ahead and close this up and let the test run to completion, and I will let you know exactly how much longer the Roadie 24 2.0 was able to last compared to the original Roadie 24. I'm actually really surprised. I thought this would be a closer test, but the Roadie 24 2.0 clearly has something different about the insulation because the ice is lasting significantly longer. Okay, so after that last clip, I went ahead and let the test continue for another day and a half or so until both coolers were over the food safe temperature of 40 degrees Fahrenheit. I was really surprised by these results. They're the same size coolers, and from the exterior they look very similar, but clearly the 2.0 has something different going on. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into the data. But first, if you're getting value from this video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button below. It helps the channel out a lot. And to say thank you, here's a picture of a baby otter. Okay, so diving into the details of the test itself, as you saw from the video clips, the Roadie 24 2.0 clearly did better, but just how much better it did than the original Roadie 24 was actually kind of shocking. The original Roadie 24 went 75 hours before the temperature started dropping significantly, and the ice wasn't entirely melted at that point. I think what was happening is the thermometer was kind of floating around in the water, and the test continued until about 88 hours when the Roadie 24 passed that 40-degree food safe zone. And then after 89 hours, I checked the cooler and there was no ice left in it. So that's actually pretty respectable. That's 3 days and 3 hours of the cooler maintaining near 32 degrees Fahrenheit temperature. And it was a full 3.7 days before all the ice was melted and you crossed the food safe zone. So almost a 4-day cooler. Granted, the cooler was mostly full with a 4-pound YETI block and 2 7-pound bags of ice for a total of 18 pounds of ice. But I do think it's still safe to say that even with a little bit less ice in this cooler or in a hotter climate, it's still a solid 3-day cooler that's going to last for most weekend trips. Now the Roadie 24 2.0 was definitely the all-star of this event. It went a full 98 hours before the temperature started creeping up, 4 full days. And then it kept running for an additional 25 hours, and then it kept running to the 114-hour mark before it hit the food safe zone of 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is really remarkable. That's a full 25 hours longer than the original Roadie 24. By that point in the test, the original Roadie 24 was sitting around 58 degrees Fahrenheit, so well beyond the food safe zone and had been for many hours. So I have to be honest with you guys, when I first started this test, I really thought it was going to be closer than this. I thought the Roadie 24 2.0 had some convenience of life features like an updated strap for carrying, a drain plug, and a little bit lighter construction. But as far as performance goes, I thought they would have kept it pretty close to the original Roadie 24. It was a great cooler, and I just figured they would try not to give up any ground to it and make sure it at least as good. But to see it outperform the original Roadie 24 with the exact same contents inside it by 25 hours was actually kind of shocking. You went from 3.7 days to 4.75 days. Now I know you probably wouldn't put this much ice in each cooler for a weekend trip or something like that. You're going to want more food and stuff in here, but it just goes to show how much better the new and improved design actually is. Okay, so that's what the data says, but what's my recommendation? Keep in mind, these are 24-quart coolers and can only hold so much food and ice. And I think, honestly, if you already own the original Roadie 24, I would keep it. It's a great cooler. It lasts 3.7 days in this test, which, frankly, if you had 2 people, you're not going to get 3.7 days worth of food in this. It's not big enough. So I think the cooling power of this cooler is more than sufficient for a weekend trip, a day at the beach, and most things that you would actually use this cooler for. Now, if you're hunting and you need to put this on the back of an ATV and have the, meat last for an entire week or something, sure, this cooler is not going to be sufficient, but neither is the updated 2.0 version. It's not going to be able to handle that situation either. So picking the right cooler is more important than the one-day difference between these 2 coolers. That being said, if you don't already have a 24-quart cooler and you're in the market for one, I would definitely look at the Roadie 24 2.0. It's a really nice update to the very good Roadie 24 with an updated strap, a little bit lighter construction, a drain plug, and the fact that the cooler is cold for a full 24 hours longer than the original just puts all the check marks in the win box for the Roadie 24 2.0, and I would highly recommend it. That being said, if you can find the original Roadie 24 either on the used market or on a clearance sale or something like that, it's still a very capable and quality cooler, and if you can live without some of the convenience of life features that the 2.0 offers, I would still highly recommend it. And if you already have one, I wouldn't be throwing it out. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you found this ice challenge super helpful and interesting. I was kind of shocked by the results. I honestly thought it would come down to like 6 hours or something like that. So the fact that the new cooler outlasted the original cooler by 25 hours was really surprising. But that's why we do these tests, is so we can find out and share that information with you guys. Now, I have a favor to ask you. Of course, after hitting the like and subscribe button, let me know in the comments below what cooler you want to see a head-to-head ice challenge on. I enjoy doing these videos, and sometimes the results are quite surprising, like what we saw today. So if there's 2 coolers that you're looking at and just can't decide, let me know in the comments below. I'll pick some up, and we'll do some more head-to-head tests to see which cooler is the best and which one might be the best value. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to share it with someone who you think might get some value from it. It's the biggest compliment you can give the channel. You're still here? Click this video here. I think you'll like it too.